Oh, it took me a long time to go public. A long time, because I knew that my fans thought I lived in this special little protected world where nothing bad happens to me. And I didn't want to worry anybody. I really didn't want to burst that bubble.
I couldn't be happier, and thank you for being here.
For 5 years, Annette Funicello hid from virtually everyone the fact that she had been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. She made excuses for how it affected her behavior. She even performed on this concert tour, but she protected her secret as well as she could. This story is about why she finally chose not to hide her illness any longer, and how life for a woman who was the sweetheart of a generation has changed. Annette Funicello was first introduced nearly 40 years ago to the 34 million other post-war baby boomers who'd been born by 1955 when Walt Disney's Mickey Mouse Club premiered.
We are the Merry Mousketeers, Mousketeers! We've got a lot of our ears,
Annette was the last Mousketeer chosen for the original group, but she was first in the hearts of those viewers on the stairway to puberty.
I didn't realize that there was such adoration out there for the Mousketeers. It was incredible.
If you'd only known when they issued these things, you could have been rich on your own memorabilia, I guess.
Yes, exactly. They had so much from the Mickey Mouse Club and so much Annette memorabilia. There were cutout dolls and coloring books and bracelets and everything. And I didn't save anything. Now I've had to go back and buy these from swap meets.
Now it's time to say goodbye to all our company.
By the time the show ended its 4-year run, Annette was also starting to get noticed outside the Disney studios.
And I took her to a drive-in movie. You know, we went and had pizza. And that was the beginning of a little romance that we had at the time. So we dated just for a short time, puppy love kind of stuff.
He was handsome, he was witty, he was just so comfortable to be around, you know. And yeah, we dated a couple of times. But when we did the beach pictures, no, Frankie was already married.
That's the name of the game. When a lad just meets a lassie.
The beach pictures, evidence that even Walt Disney couldn't stop kids from growing up. Beach Party, made by American International Studios in 1963, was the first of a series of 5 films that drew millions of maturing Mousketeers. Walt Disney did make one suggestion about how Annette could protect her wholesome image.
He said, "You're special, and you have an image, you know, that's different from everyone else's. Would you mind just not showing the navel?"
And she did exactly what he wanted to do.
With Annette succeeding most of the time in respecting Mr. Disney's suggestion, the films placed her and Frankie Avalon in that pantheon of screen couples who are always together in our memories.
Boil it down, break it down to anything, it was young love. It was romance. It was the future.
Let's get together now, you know I love you.
Underneath it all, Annette was less like the actors who competed for stardom in films like these, and more like the characters she played. Smart, safe, conventional, as she put it, in that protected little world where nothing bad ever happened. In 1965, the year of the last Beach Party film, she married a talent agent, Jack Gilardi, and devoted most of her time after that to raising her 3 children. As for the career that had looked so fun and glamorous...
Do you have a soft spot in your heart for any aspects of the career?
Not really. Not really. I had always said when I got married and started raising my family, that would be the end of my show business career. I wanted to be home with them.
You are such an unlikely star, though. You hear of people all the time who sell their souls for a few moments of the kind of recognition that you had and adulation.
Isn't that something? I'm a fluke in the business. I was not the best singer. I was not the best dancer. I was not the most attractive of the girls. I mean, I wanted to look like everybody else. And it's like, why me? Why me? And I still, to this day, cannot give an answer.
Remember me?
Her fans were more likely to see Annette as a spokesperson for Skippy Peanut Butter than in the tabloids, even when she was divorced in 1982, then married her second husband, Glenn Holt, 4 years later. It was all handled without much fuss or controversy. In fact, a publisher who asked her to submit a biography wound up rejecting it as too boring after asking the question,
"But don't you have any behind-the-scenes smut?" And I said, "No." And the comment was, excuse me, "Your life is so nice."
They didn't want to hear about it.
I had nothing to tell them.
But in 1987, she began to notice that something was wrong because her eyesight was failing badly. Her ophthalmologist sent her to a neurologist.
Were you fearful that it might be something else when you initially went in?
Oh, yeah. Because I had no symptoms, I thought, well, my eyesight, please don't let it be a tumor. That was my big fear. And when they read the x-rays and the neurologist said, "You have multiple sclerosis." I didn't know anything about multiple sclerosis, you know?
Multiple sclerosis is a disease of the central nervous system that causes a lack of coordination, weakness, even paralysis. It has most affected Annette's legs, her balance. No one knows what causes it or how severely it will progress, and there is no cure.
What's it read down there?
Nothing.
Whoops.
Oh,
Here.
that's okay.
Put your foot back here.
To try to counteract its effects, she exercises regularly and takes a strict regimen of vitamins. When she was first diagnosed, however, her symptoms were still so mild that she had the strength in October of 1989 to begin one long last tour in show business. One of the reasons she agreed to do the tour with her old friend and co-star Frankie Avalon was to finally prove something to herself.
Not to keep running away.
What were you running away from?
I've always been afraid to sing in public. I was trained as a dancer, never as a singer. So, you know, for me to get up on stage without being in a recording studio, where I had my echo chambers and I could double my voice, I was scared to death. I really was frightened.
She didn't tell anyone, not even Avalon, that she had been diagnosed with MS. What she didn't know until recently was that her husband, Glenn Holt, had a private meeting with Avalon at the very beginning of the tour.
I just felt that I couldn't let it go that he did not know, because he was asking me at times, "What's wrong with Annette?" You know, he'd notice a little something.
Had you noticed symptoms of it before she told you?
Absolute. Her balance was just not a normal balance. She was fighting it constantly.
And I just had to level with him and ask him not to say anything, and it just devastated me. I mean, I just couldn't imagine.
Since you already knew that she had the disease, how did you react to her when she finally decided to tell you?
I mean, I played a part. I mean, it was probably the best acting I've ever done with her, you know. It was a very emotional thing. And the two of us had a cry.
And finally, this last summer, Annette announced to the public that she has MS. People who had seen her walk uncertainly in restaurants were assuming she was tipsy. And then the tabloids started following her and talking to her neighbors and calling on the phone.
If you hadn't been chased by the tabloids, would you have preferred to keep this private?
Yes. Definitely. I didn't want pity, first and foremost. And I was lying and saying I had tendinitis. I was saying anything to cover for it. That's part of the stress that I had, too.
Was continuing to try to hide it?
The lie. It's like having a ghost in the closet, and you know it's there, and every time you open the door, you have to slam it again real fast and get rid of it. But it's there. You know, it's always there. And I hope I let you know that I care. Oh, that's so sweet.
She has received enormous amounts of supportive mail, which her old friends at the Disney studios are helping handle for her. What no one can tell her is what will happen next, although she could still have a long future ahead. The average life expectancy of people diagnosed with MS is an additional 20 to 30 years.
You're also a religious person. You're a practicing Catholic.
Yes.
Has this tested your religion? Did you ever ask, why me, or why is this happening?
I ask that all the time. Especially in the beginning. You go through different stages. I mean, I went through the tears. I went through the anger. I realized that there is a reason. My belief in God is stronger now than ever. He wants me to help others. And I know I have. You know, you can either give into it and cry your eyes out, or you can fight it. You really only have two choices, you know, and I choose to fight it.
What an attractive person. Her personality